Hello, hi everybody. For those of you who don't know who I am, and there are a lot of unfamiliar faces in here, so I think it's going to be most people. My name is Jack. I'm a myotherapist. I run a treatment clinic over in Milton here called Rock Therapy, where I specialize in treating rock climbing injuries. And that's kind of what I'm going to be talking to you guys about today. There's a lot of you here, a lot of different skill sets, a lot of different ages. So I'm going to try and make all of the exercises fit everybody a little bit, as well as trying to talk to the parents of stuff to look out for with your kids as well, like what to look for in case of injuries, things that you should worry about, things that you can probably let slide for a little bit. But to start off, we're going to get stuck straight in. I am going to need volunteers today to help me out with setting up for a particular few exercises. So to start off with, I'm going to pick on somebody I know. Zach, come on up pretty please. So we're going to go from top to bottom. Some of you may need to stand for a few of these. This is going to be on the ground. I'm so sorry. It's going to be way out of shot. Can I get you on your back for me pretty please? So we're starting at the neck. Now the reason I love this exercise in particular is with climbing, a lot of the time you end up, I'm going to describe everything as much as I can, but if you do want to jump up and come forwards, feel free to. The biggest thing that we see in climbing is the shoulders come forwards, the head comes forwards, but that's also just kind of like a teenager's favorite position as well. So we want to try and mitigate that as much as we can. One of the biggest things that we look for is endurance of the muscles across the front of the neck here. Without lifting your head, can I just get you to tuck your chin in towards your chest for me so the head stays in contact, and then just very lightly lift the head up and off of the bench, holding it there for me please. A little bit further down so your hair's just touching the bottom. Good, hold that position there. Hang out. So what we look for in this position here is, does the chin start to come up and straight away? Do we start to see a lot of shaking? After about 20 seconds we say, hey Zach, how difficult out of 10 is that? First number that pops into your head. 5. Anything over a 5, we like to call it a fail in particular, and then relax for me pretty please. The biggest thing that I like this one is it mitigates this. On that, I will say, buy a pair of belay glasses as soon as you possibly can. Over time, this compressive force will create a lot of issues down towards the bottom of the neck. If we're prescribing this, so, and this is a nice easy test you can do for yourself, you lay on your back, you tuck your chin, you lift your head ever so slightly. If it's difficult, it's probably something that you should do. We get you too, so tuck the chin for me. Lifting the head too much, mate. So as soon as you lift the head too much, it means you're trying to employ all of the stuff down here to help you out. We really want to hit the stuff that's up towards the top of the neck. You hold for 10 seconds at a time, and then relax. You take breaks for about 3 to 5 seconds, and then you repeat, just lifting the head for me. I generally get people to do a set of 6 10-second holds, 5 sets in a day if it's really, really hard, 3 sets if it's not so hard, every single day, eventually petering off to every other day, eventually petering off to just doing it on your workout days as it starts to get a little bit easier over time. Relax. How was that? Good. Super fun, right? Jumping up for me, please. Zach, because you're such a fantastic help, grab yourself a killer python. Now, who wants to be the next volunteer? Excellent, down the back there, white shirt. Come up for me pretty please. So we're gonna go through, we're coming down from the neck and into the shoulder. What was your name, sir?
Jasper.
Jasper?
Yeah.
Everybody give Jasper a round of applause, please. Can I get you into a push-up position for me pretty please? So hands under the shoulders, feet straight out, nice and easy position. Hold that position there. So straight away, we like to use push-ups as a training routine. We're going to be holding this position for a while. I hope that's okay. We like to use this as a training routine, but one of the biggest things that we see is a loss in the hips and a loss at the head. I call this position a lizard drinking water. Can I get you to lift your head just slightly for me, pretty please? Hold that position there. So that's where we like to see the head stay. If through a push-up position and even just holding this position at the top, we start to see a lot of shaking. You're actually doing pretty well. I'm very impressed. Put the knees down. Let's take a little break for a second. So those are the 2 things that we like to see in a setup for a push-up. So before we even start setting up for push-ups and getting people to do push-ups, I take them through what's called a scat push-up. You want to jump back into that position for me, please, Jasper? So what we're going to do is keeping the elbows straight, keeping the hips and the core on. I want you to let your chest fall towards the floor so your shoulder blades come together. Good one. See straight away the head drops down. Nice one. We want to keep that head up for me and then pressing the floor away, so pushing the chest up towards the roof and then letting it fall down and then pushing up towards the roof. Difficulty out of 10, Jasper?
Like 4.
4, cool. So even on that, we see a little bit of bending at the elbows, we see a little bit of a shaking and a little bit of a dropping here. I would like this exercise for Jasper, especially because we're starting to turn into that climber back sort of straight away. Relax for me, Jasper. Again, we go 10 reps-ish, 3 to 5 sets per day, 5 if you find it more difficult, 3 if you find it less difficult. This is one I just like to have in your tool chest constantly. Remembering this is being recorded as well, so don't be feverishly trying to take down notes. You can if you find something that you like in particular. But what I like about this position here is, you've been fantastic, Jasper. You can head back to your seat for me, please, mate. The thing that I really, really like about this exercise is the fact that it's so specific to climbing, but also trains those pushing mechanics, which is a really, really important part of making sure that we don't fall into this posture here. One of the biggest things with that posture, and this is kind of a shout out to the parents trying to look for it start to develop, it's probably going to happen anyway because we all kind of like to sit here. But the biggest thing with climbing is that it really juices your lats. They get overactive, and the one thing that they want to do is this. They want to drive the arms backwards and pull those shoulders forwards, which is why when they're training with Zach, they'll most likely do antagonistic training, so stuff like push training, things like that. But we want to make sure they're able to do those push-ups well, so it goes into the right position and we're not just smashing our neck and other pieces through the body. Do I have another volunteer? Yellow shirt, hand was up first, straight away. What's your name, sir? William. Jack. Round of applause for William, everybody, please. Can I get you into all fours for me, please? So hands under shoulders, knees under hips, like you're going to be crawling. So knees on the ground as well. Let's bring the knees a little bit further forwards for me. Perfect. So let's find that lizard drinking water position. Head comes up. You'll find for all exercises I do in this position here, we get them to lift the head slightly, because always you want to imagine that you're trying to look at something out in this position here. So to start off with, so this is an exercise called a bird dog. Have you ever done a bird dog before? Oh, this is going to be fun. All right, so can I get you from this position, just lifting the arms straight up over the top for me. So up as far as you can, lift, 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 lift. Good, and then come back down. Let's go same thing on the left-hand side for me, pretty please. And then come back down, not too bad. So now here's the hard part. We're gonna do the same thing, but with the leg. So right leg first, you're gonna kick the leg back and try and straighten it out and lift it up as far as you can for me. Nice, and then come back down. And then let's go left leg for me, pretty please. Good one, and then come back down. All right, we're gonna make it focus a little harder on that one. So holding that position for me whenever we're doing this exercise. So this is predominantly around if we're starting to have any niggles in the low back that don't go away. If you're under the age of 20, you shouldn't be having issues in your lower back for any longer than about a day or two. You input an exercise, it should disappear really, really quickly. This is more for the parents this time. If your kids have an injury, generally if it's not something catastrophic like you hurt a tendon or anything like that, these little niggles should disappear really, really fast. That's generally what I see in clinic. If I don't get it in the first 2 shots, I'll prescribe an exercise. If it doesn't work, I'll prescribe something else. If I think I'm in the right area and it doesn't fix within, say, 3 to 6 weeks, that's when I refer off. So I'm looking for imaging and sending it somewhere else. So just to give you an idea of how rapidly these things should improve. Now I'm gonna get you to lift those legs again for me, just in a sec, but I want you to imagine this thing is full of water. It's a big bowl full of water, and you don't wanna lose any water off to the side. So pushing that right foot back for me, lifting the leg up. Strong, 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 strong. See how much better it was. That was awesome. So that's what we're gonna look for. And then relax, and I'll get you to keep kicking the legs for me. So left leg goes back, and then right leg goes back, just alternating between the two. Little bit more difficult on this side. So we have this bowl of water sort of set up here. Generally, I get people to do a minute, nice and slow and controlled, don't speed up. But you wanna make sure that you're watching out for this loss through the back, or again, your head is perfect, that loss in the head as well. To make it more difficult, when you lift this left leg, can I get you to lift the right arm for me as well? We wouldn't upgrade William to this position just yet because it's looking a little bit wobbly, and then relax for me. But that's essentially where the progression would go. You're very welcome. That was probably the hardest one yet. Round of applause for William, please. So with that guy in particular, we go 60 seconds. Again, like 3 to 5, that's a whole set, is 60 seconds worth of that exercise. 3 to 5 sets per day, 5 if it's more difficult, 3 if it's less difficult. And you would do more reps on the side that's harder. So for William, that left hand up and left foot up and right arm up, you would do more reps on that side. So essentially a 2 to 1. And you'll see that I'll mention that throughout all of these exercises today. We're looking for deficits, particularly in guys that are this age. We're not specifically looking for weaknesses per se, but if one side sucks more than the other, you need to work on that side that's not quite as good, particularly because climbing is such an encompassing sport. You kind of get stuck into everything here. So next victim, who feels like a Python red shirt, please. Come on up, Las Portivo. What was your name, sir? Mike, Jack, everybody, round of applause, please. So we're going to be a little bit mean. Can I get you to take a seat here for me, please? We're going to assess before we treat. Can I get you to squeeze this guy in between the knees for me? Hands across the chest and either shoulder, giving yourself a hug. So squeezing that block nice and hard. This is what I generally get people to do to look if we have problems with our rotation through the back. Rotating to the left as far as is comfy. Pretty good. We take a line across the shoulders and we reach about almost 80 degrees, which is amazing. I wish I could do that. And then off to the right-hand side for me. Little bit stiffer, so has to try a little bit harder to get around that left-hand side. We hit maybe 70 degrees in this position, which means we need more rotation through this mid-back area. A big one for that. Jumping up for me, please. Can I get you laying on your back, pretty please? So especially if we're looking for right rotation, we're going to be making you rotate to the right. Can I get you roll onto your right-hand side for me, please? And you're going to bring this knee up, this hand out to the side, other hand out to the other side. So we're going to be doing what's called an archer roll. So this hand is going to come across the body to close up, and you're going to look towards the hand as you look in that direction. Really reach past the hand as far as you can, maybe feel a bit of a stretch to this area here, and then back in the opposite direction. Again, looking towards the hand. Perfect. Keep going for me, pretty please. The most classic rotational exercise there is. This predominantly focuses on the upper part of the back, which again, as I mentioned, is probably the most important part, and this hits all of us. It's generally that posture is a little bit more present in males when they're younger than it is in females until you come into climbing and you start to see exactly the same posture in everybody. So that little test, rotating, 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 we know your left rotation is amazing, but your right rotation, not so amazing. So we want to focus on that. The big thing for this, keep going, the big thing for this is as soon as you're missing that rotation, you miss that ability to open up on that side, so your ability to reach and grab is massively diminished when you haven't got that extension, that rotation. Onto your back for me, pretty please. To this one, we couple hands out to the side, turn the palms down for me. And I'm going to get you to bring your feet and knees up into the air for me, pretty please. So you're in like a tabletop position. Bend the knees, good. Keep the knees and ankles together. I want you to let the legs fall in that direction, pushing down here to stop the shoulder from coming off the ground, and then come back in the opposite direction. This is where we start working into mobility and exercise. So I pair that, it's called an archer stretch. We pair that archer stretch with what's called a windshield wiper. The cool one about this is it mobilizes predominantly the lower back, but it's kind of all connected, so we essentially need to hit both pieces at the same time. We hit the lower back and we get a nice core exercise as well. How are we feeling? Difficulty out of 10?
Like 3.5, 4.
So strong. All yours, mate. Thank you very much. Round of applause, pretty please. So again, you'll find that with mobility drills like that, I generally like to use minutes as opposed to sets and reps. You're looking for time overall. Minute with each exercise, 3 to 5 sets per day or sprinkled into an exercise. Again, that 5 sets is only if you have a deficit in that area. So our right rotation would be, we'd be working on that more than our left rotation for that archer, but then bringing it all together with that rotation through the lower lumbar. How am I doing for time? Is there a clock in here? 10:30, killing it, awesome. Who's feeling strong in the wrist in particular? We got some wrist exercises. Yes, yellow shirt, come on up. So we have 2 here. I'm not gonna make you use this guy. What was your name, sir? Santi. Jack, round of applause everybody please. Take a seat here for me, sir. So they're called wrist extension curls. Now, when you're younger, generally, we'll use bands and things like that. As we start to get a little bit older, we'll replace this exercise with a weighted exercise. So for this, we're going to get you to set up. Foot's going to be in the band, create a little bit of tension. We're going to get you to lift. We're going to get you to lower. You got it? Show me. So it's probably the most classic wrist strengthening drill that's out there. I'm going to bring a bit more tension, really push that foot down, pull it up, and then squeeze. Good one. Let's bring that chair forwards for you before you let it fall off. So keeping that elbow in contact, a little bit of activity through here, not too much though. It's not painful. Keep going for me, pretty please. So when we're doing a banded exercise like this, we're going to go for a minute. When we do a weighted exercise, so very, very lightweight in the beginning, we're going to be looking at things like 3 sets of 10 to start off with, progressively overloading. With our band, we'll be doing every day. With a weighted exercise, it's more like 2 to 3 sessions per week. And this is where we start moving off into more strength training based stuff, where you only want to be doing stuff that's really, really intense, 2 or 3 sessions a week to make sure that you can recover fully from it. With this exercise as well, because this is predominantly protective, unless you have a specific deficit on one side, so one side is markedly weaker than the other, or if you're starting to feel pain on the outside of the elbow, that's when we would get you to focus more on one side as opposed to just doing both sides. And again, with this training element, there is a maintenance element to this. Once you bring that one side up to match the other, we're going to even them out and train them off into the future. All good? Fantastic work. That's yours, sir. Back to your seat. Round of applause, pretty please. So I'll touch on that weighted exercise a little bit more. Grabbed a surprisingly large weight. I thought there were going to be slightly bigger people here today. So with this guy, making sure that as we're setting up, you're not running through too much range of motion. The wrist isn't too far away from the bench because then you'll just have more load going into the actual wrist as to the actual muscle. And a bit of a note on any exercise that involves a weight, you want to make sure that you're squeezing. So you're not just letting the weight sit floppy in the wrist and moving it up and down. You're actually squeezing with about 50% of your power to make sure that you activate the entire hand. What this is going to do is protect the wrist. In an isolated situation, this isn't so much of an issue, but it becomes a problem later on when you're not activating the wrist, and then you'll start to get wrist injuries as time goes by. Cool? I'll take a point here. Does anybody have any questions about those exercises so far? I am going to put about 10 or 15 minutes for general Q&A at the end so that we can talk about specific injuries and stuff like that. But did anybody have any queries about the exercises that we've gone through so far?
Is there any age limit for to start the wrist stuff?
Oh, he asked the exact question I was hoping that would get asked. Yes, so that's why I mentioned that banded exercise. Generally, I would only start to do these sort of wrist extension exercises in a younger population, say under the age of 12, if we're starting to have issues. The big one is tennis elbow. So tennis elbow or golfer's elbow. Climbers generally get a little bit of both, but generally this guy on the outside, we start to feel a bit of pain on the outside of the elbow. It gets worse. We exercise and it's bad at the beginning, but it gets better with training, but it gets worse over time. That's the sort of exercise that we would be using this to try and treat. Normally exercises like that, in this sort of population for you guys, if you start getting niggles through the forearm or through the finger, a lot of the time, I'm really sorry, it means you're climbing too much. Almost always, if we drop the climbing by about 1 session per week, as soon as we start to get up to that 4, 5, 6 sessions per week, which is way too many to sustain, in most cases I should say, so we try to bring that down. But under the age of 12, generally we'll use bands. I will only give weighted exercises to a younger person if they specifically need it, and that way I can specifically control it. You know, the only way that you'll end up with an issue where you have problems with growth and growth plates within the bone is if you actually damage that area, and that only happens if you're doing something silly, so you're kind of overloading yourself. Does that answer your question, Zach? Perfect. We'll move on. So next stuff. Again, we're going to be going into a little bit of, we're starting to look more away from weighted things. We're coming to try and block onto training. I'm going to take some weight out of this. Who feels like they've got a strong hand today? Nice. Let's go. Hat, please. Come on down. Everybody gets nicknames. What's your name, sir? Hayden, Jack, everybody, round of applause for Hayden, pretty please. 2.5 kilos plus the bar, it's going to be about 3 kilos. Can I get you just to put a whole hand around that guy, pick it up, and take a little wander around for me, pretty please. So, with this exercise, I will prescribe this over any sort of hangboard or anything like that for these guys. It's a little more protective of the hand, but I'll get you to pop it down. And instead of grabbing with the ball, can I get you to put all of the fingers around like this for me, please? Bang. Nice, awesome. Take a walk. Whenever we're doing exercises like this where I have something dangling next to you, I always get people to walk around. It's called perturbation training. You perturb the area, so it kind of moves around and it has to activate. 2.5 kilos is going to be very chill, right? It's not too difficult. We don't need anything too crazy with this exercise. The reason why I like to focus on this, it's safe, particularly when it comes to fingers in particular, because you're predominantly loading in the hand, but it starts to work forgotten muscles within the hand itself. So these muscles that actually live in between the bones of the hand, called your lumbricals, they're very important for creating that pressure. Kids will care about the fact that it will make you better at climbing slopers, as well as slab type stuff. It creates more pressure through the hand. Parents will like it because generally you'll get less injuries. One of the biggest things that lumbricals can throw is pain around that ring finger, into that pulley, that terrible dreaded pulley area. You can relax and swap hands for me, pretty please. Into that pulley area, because they actually attach up into that area. If we exercise them like this, so anything that creates the hands wide and creates that compressive force, we're going to be getting some exercise through these. Now again, this comes with a little asterisk next to it of, we're starting to use weighted exercises. I'm not as worried about this as I am with something like this, because we're not actually moving a joint around the weight. We're literally just holding and then walking around in a circle. You would do 30-second holds, 6 reps of, maximum once or twice a week. This is where we start to move into more protective maintenance exercise as opposed to rehabilitative stuff that we need to do regularly. You can drop that guy down for me. And you can have one of these. Thank you very much. Round of applause for Hayden, everybody, please. So again, I can't stress enough, these are things that I generally start to prescribe to people when I'm worried about what's going on in the hand. If I was under the age of 10, we don't need to look at this stuff. Even under the age of 12, finger training realistically, unless you're performing at a really, really high level, this is what I generally refer to as a moderate risk, high reward exercise. So with any weighted exercise, particularly in this age group, there is a little bit of a risk with doing any of this sort of stuff. So you need to make sure that you're very careful with it, especially once you start going down that rabbit hole of finger-based exercises, because it's a really, really common practice where you use finger training, you start to get better, you get really excited about it, you do more finger training and more and more and more until there comes a point where the fingers start to hurt and it's really, really hard to come back from there. Zach will obviously talk to you about all that kind of stuff when you're in your training sessions together, but the big thing is making sure that every time you introduce a new style of training, you eventually take a little break from it or a step back in a couple of weeks' time. It's called periodization, but we can get into that later on. So hand and finger stuff is out of the way. Who feels like they've got good balance? Come on forward, please. What was your name? Kayla. Kayla, Jack, lovely to meet you. Round of applause for Kayla, pretty please. Let's not put you in front of all these guys. Can I get you to look at that line there? You're going to bring right foot up in front of you like this. Hands are going to stay by the side, and we're just going to balance and brace pretty please. So again, this is a nice little test that we can do for ourselves. So you want to balance on one leg. You don't just kick the foot back. It's too easy. You bring that leg up in front of you, and you have the hands by the side. With eyes open, we're aiming for 30 seconds, and you look like you could do this all day, Kayla. Can you switch legs for me pretty please? Left foot down, right foot down, left foot up. Holding that position, please. So straight away, we see a little bit more of a struggle on this right leg. I feel like you could almost definitely do it all day again, but it's a little bit gnarly. But this is where it gets a little bit difficult. We're going to hold this position here. Keep looking in that position there. I'm going to have hands either side to catch you if you fall. Can I get you to close your eyes for me, pretty please? We're aiming for 10 seconds. Instantaneously becomes way harder. In this age group, we're looking for so close. All right. Can we stand on that first leg, please? So left leg down and then right leg up. That was the first one, right? Eyes out the front and then closing the eyes down for me, pretty please. Little less struggle street on this left-hand side. So we can see that right foot is a little bit stronger than the left foot. So it means straight away we can know that we're going to get a little bit of improvement out of this. That was very, very close. All right, the exercise for this guy is, we're going to do it together. My favorite balance exercise of all time. So we're going to stand on your right leg, my left leg. Standing in this position here, hands up. You're going to look at the ball, throw it from one hand to the other, and then you get your balance again. Look at the ball, throw it from one hand to the other, and then get your balance again. I'm going to get out of your way, otherwise it's going to make it really, really hard. Bring that knee up in front of you as well. No cheating here, thank you very much. So the big thing with this exercise is it brings the ball above your eye line and it crosses the midline, massively activates the brain. We want to be doing it on the leg that's not quite as good as the opposite side. The reason why I care about this, particularly with these guys, is their balance should be bang on either side. All of their joints are very healthy. The thing that controls your balance at the back of your head is very healthy. So something in there, movement pattern-wise, we just need to work on. It's very, very fast. And it means that we might have less injuries on that right-hand side that has less balance than that left-hand side. You are killing this side. But overall, 60 seconds at a time, 3 sets of, 3 times a week. I'll swap you. Thank you very much, Kayla. You did very well. Round of applause for Kayla, please. That's by far the toughest test that you'll have to do today. So I'm going to get my friend Zach again, because this will be an excellent demonstrator for him. What they then upgrade to this exercise is a position called an aeroplane. Facing that way for me, pretty please, mate. Let's get you under right leg, like there's a pole through head and the bottom of the left heel. And you're just going to bend forwards until you come into relatively parallel, taking a slight bend in the knee. So this guy, all day long here. But what we generally do is we add in 2 openers. So you're going to open up to the left. So rotating up to the left for me. Yeah. Good. And then come back down. And then the real killer is rotating to, I knew it was going to be like this. I knew, and then we're rotating down to the right, closing in. So you're also going to get a lot in the hip here as well. So it's going to crank in the hip and then come back up to neutral and keep trying to cycle that exercise for me. I'll be less mean and prescribe this how I normally do. You can have this stick for balance. So with this exercise, it's a combination of that balance as well as a hip mobility routine. We're generally pretty good at opening up here. Yeah, there we go. We're generally able to open up to the side well, but closing down to the inside is tough. You already got a snake today, didn't you? Yeah, all right. You're out of here. You're out of here. Round of applause for Zach, pretty please. The big one with that rotating down and into the side, what it does is you have this big bone that goes from knee all the way up into your hip called your femur, and it kind of kicks in an L shape like this. When we close down in this position, we're actually driving the femur into all of the musculature and the connective tissue at the back of the hip. The big one for that is it will increase your internal rotation, which is what we need for our big drop knees. So all of that kind of stuff is very protective through the hip, as well as making sure that we're working on that balance at the exact same time. Now, this is a special one. Who feels like they're very good at jumping today? Oh, so many. Black shirt, please, come on up. What's your name, sir?
Tigo.
Sorry?
Tigo.
Tigo? All right, everybody, round of applause, please. We're gonna go standing on right leg. Nice. You're going to come down and then hop up and catch yourself on that foot. And I'm going to get you to keep going for me, please. Hopping as high as you possibly can, 100% of the time. Nice. We're going to go for 10 reps. So this is first of what I'm going to call, it's an exercise style called, nice, plyometrics. So you can see that all of these exercises are very put around balance, but this is where we start to get a bit more explosive. Keep going for me. You got to earn that snake, buddy. All right, let's switch to left leg for me, pretty please. So left leg is hopping up and then down and then up and then down, maximal pressure. So with these exercises, we're training you to produce explosive force, good for dynos. We're teaching the ankle to balance in that position, but we're also teaching the ankle to catch itself. Well done. Round of applause, please. So with plyometrics, particularly with these guys, I like catching people early when it comes to training ankles to do explosive and catching actions, because one of the most common and most annoying injuries is an ankle roll, particularly when you're bouldering. Normally it is stuff that just happens. It's not even I was doing these ones and pulling, it's always I stepped off the wall and fell over my ankle for some reason. A lot of the time that comes back to a lack of rehabilitation, a lack of work on the ankle, and this sort of stuff where it really exploding and catching ourselves, that's the kind of thing that can really protect it and make sure you don't get those injuries into the future. I generally do a barrage of 3 different tests, so 3 different exercises. We have that first one there, which is single leg hops. We also have maximal jump and catches, as well as lateral jumps. So the combination of those 3 hits every angle through the foot. You will get absolutely pooped. I don't understand why. I know it's like explosive, but gosh, you get so puffed really, really quickly. 10 reps, 12 reps, 3 separate exercises, 2 or 3 times a week, unless of course you have an injury. Again, this is one of these ones that's like not even between low and moderate risk and high reward. If you have an injury in the ankle and you try and dump these style of exercises on top, you're just going to end up with a lot of stiffness throughout the ankle. We kind of want to avoid that stuff. We're training away from that, not training into it. Plyometrics, last but not least, who is not feeling stretchy through the hips today? I want someone who's not, I know you're stretchy, I'm not picking you, get out of here. Let's get one of the boys, please, blue shirt, come on down. What's your name, dude? Jai. Everybody, round of applause for Jai, pretty please. So, you need a couple of things for this exercise. You need a wall, you need a chair, and you need something to put your hands on. I'm going to demo the exercise for you and then we're going to go through it. So this is called a couch stretch. It's one of my favorite mobility drills for the hip in existence. Climbers, us, older people, you name it. Your knee is going to go right into the corner of the wall. You can see where this is going, right? You're going to lean onto the bench and then you whip that foot out into a lunge position without that knee coming away from the wall. If you feel the stretch here, stay here. Oh gosh, sorry. If you feel like you can come up, press up for me. Let's see it. Clogs off, mate, clogs off, come on. So knee goes right into the corner of the wall. Shimmy, 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 all the way back. Good one. Oh, you can do it all day. There it is. That's what I wanted. So you can lean forwards. Once you feel the stretch, you're doing the stretch. I'm going to get you to hold for this for 20 seconds, then we're going to switch sides. So couch stretch, very important for climbing. We get a lot of tension through this position here because of that throwing position. We also just get a lot of tension there because of life in general. This is not just a climber one. Everyone in this room could probably benefit from this guy. This long quad attaches right up into the front of the hip. It drives those hips into this kind of forwards position, creates more tension through the hamstrings, creates more tension through the lower back. Switching sides will be pretty pleased. Let's see how lefty is. I'll switch this stool over. And then back down. Whenever I'm prescribing this exercise, I generally get people to do what I call an entree, a 20-second opening stretch. So perfect. See, I couldn't have given this to you. You wouldn't have felt anything. So 20-second opener, and then we come back and do a full 2 minutes on both sides. The big ones specifically for climbing are, if you're having issues getting the heel up and overhead and then driving down, this is one of the big ones. If you're getting that pinching sensation through the front of the hip, we generally combo this with a little bit of strengthening as well. You want to lengthen and strengthen at the same time. That'll do, mate. You can take two. Go on. Round of applause, please. So that one in particular is one of my favorite stretches, but it's kind of just a good example of mobility work as well. Because we know we have a deficit in that position, it's something that I would like to work on every single day. The big tester for that one is, can you get your back to the wall? That's essentially where we want to drive towards. It's obviously not happening today. It's one of those stretches though that you will be doing it for a long time. It's not a more pain, more gain scenario. If you push into that position, this is the same with any stretch. If you really push past that position of pain, a lot of the time you can actually cause little bits of local damage throughout the musculature in that area. And you kind of want to slowly over time do these things, because in the grand scheme of flexibility and mobility, you're going to be doing a lot of this over time. And I mentioned as well, we want to open up that position, but we want to strengthen it as well. This is essentially kind of a combination of a mobility and a flexibility exercise. Flexibility being the ability to move somewhere, mobility being the ability to control that range of motion. So you always want to strengthen up those positions that you're opening up. Now that kind of encompasses a lot of the exercises that I wanted to go through today. We've sort of gone from top to bottom. I wanted to switch it out. Does anybody have any specific niggles, questions, things like that? And this is for kids and parents alike. Did you have any questions, injuries related at all? Oh no, crickets.
What are your thoughts on the no-hang?
Sorry?
The no-hang.
The no-hang protocol. So the no-hang protocol, essentially it's where you're doing hangboard but you still have a foot on. That's the one, right? So you're not doing full body weight exercises. Particularly for this age group, like I said earlier, any hangboard stuff in particular, I'm always a little bit wary of it. If you find that you have a specific deficit with your finger strength and it's a problem with climbing, especially if you're one-sided, that's when you can start looking at this stuff. But I generally like to use in that scenario, instead of a no-hang, and this is kind of getting a little bit further down the track with your training as well as a little bit further down the track with your age. I wouldn't be doing any sort of this stuff until you're about 14 or 15, unless of course we really want to target those areas. I like using single-handed apparatus. So the no-hang, the idea is that you're doing a hang. So on a hangboard, you have one foot on the ground so you can kind of control the weight. It's very immeasurable, even though there's things where you can have like a little set of scales underneath you and you have your foot on, you try to maintain the same weight, or you use a band to actually take weight off of you. With a system like this, you can essentially train singular hands, singular positions, and well below body weight. So that's why I kind of stress this sort of position from a rehabilitative standpoint. All of the stuff I'll talk about today is more kind of looking after yourself and making sure you don't get injured. As soon as we start talking about things like finger training and hangboard, that's where we start moving more towards training, which is more going to be Zach's realm for that sort of stuff. Does that answer your question? Overall, for like once you're growing, skeletal maturity, all kind of that stuff, I'm not a fan of no-hangs. I think that kind of isolated fingers position, if you're using no-hangs to like repair yourself from an injury, it's okay, but more so I like this sort of system. There's a question here.
This is maybe not a rock climber, but Ellie's knees will get sore. We went to a GP and they said it's the patellar sort of not tracking through the groove between, where it's meant to be tracking. And that she'll grow out of it. Just wondering if you have any ideas on that?
So I'll kind of hit 2 points here, particularly if you have anything musculoskeletal, any injury-based stuff. GP is a good stop for making sure there's nothing more niggly going on. So if you're looking for anything nasty, particularly things like Osgood-Schlatters and Sever's condition, where it's kind of a growing pains condition, I'll put those in inverted commas because I'll come back to that. But if you're specifically worried about an injury or a pain somewhere, I'd be going physio, exercise physiologist, that kind of more sports-specific type intervention. GPs have such a big knowledge of so many different things, and musculoskeletal is such a small part of it. So they're fantastic diagnostically, but I'd be moving off. On that sort of thing, particularly with that growing pain sort of thing, there's always an exercise, I have found. So in the children that I've treated who have had things like that, generally you can start to get rid of that pain a lot faster than just waiting, particularly with these guys who are very active, very sporty. Kids are we refer to it as neuroplastic, they're very adaptive. So when you put something in, you get something out almost straight away. So I would assume that there is most likely, have to use all of this kind of terminology, there's most likely something that you'd be able to do for that pain ahead of just waiting for it to go away. Generally, yeah. Hard to say without taking a look at it myself. And that's kind of a good note as well, things like that where if you're getting a pain that's just come up, and particularly if it's sports related, more if they're kind of, things in the feet are a little bit tough, because you guys are going through about 6 pairs of school shoes every year, I imagine. Those sorts of things are a little bit harder to deal with, but things like pain at the knees, pain at the hip, pain at the wrist, pain at the forearm, generally you can exercise your way out of them. Does that make sense? Generally, I'll say, and this is purely just my experience in the clinic. I am very lucky. I deal with a population like you guys who are very, very healthy and very, very active. So I generally get a lot more response. So it doesn't fit overall, but for the most part, yeah, there's most likely something you'd be able to do. Yes?
Some advice, like Tiana, for example, like last year, and since she had a bone bruise, we saw like the specialist, the sports injury.
Yep.
And they said that will go away, bone bruise.
Bone bruise is a little bit...
Like she had big, and that's what they come up with.
So that was confirmed on imaging as well?
That's what they said.
Okay.
But she cannot anymore sit cross-legged.
So
She hurt, so that's why.
particularly with... When you say, did you see a sports physician, a sports GP, or a physiotherapist, or?
From the GP, we went to the specialist.
Okay. Bone bruising can be tough. It can be really, really difficult. So sometimes it's really, really easy to get away with. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer. Generally, the interventions that you're going to be using are things like normal fluid clearing type stuff. So a lot of elevation, compression of the area, working soft tissue within the area as well. Making sure that you're doing some form of exercise that, is it the knee or ankle? Knee, okay. So particularly through the knee, you want to make sure that you're doing stuff in the water. So like, even though it sounds crazy, like aerobic style exercise, literally just going and swimming in the pool and kicking like that, anything that creates that sort of pressure, because it's a fluid-based issue. Bruising is kind of just a catch term for there's inflammation on the actual bony surface. And again, haven't seen the scans, haven't looked at anything. But generally there is always something you can do to progress it over time. If it's stalled, so if it's continuously getting better, that's fine. Continue with what you're doing at the moment. But generally with these guys, like I said, you should be able to see relative improvement almost constantly. So if it's stalled, it means it's time to try something else, is what I generally prescribe. Cool? There we go. Yes?
Heat therapy, cold therapy,
Yes.
Theraguns. What's the timing?
So timing, not. Are you talking about specifically for injuries or just in general, like how?
Just in general, injury prevention. Like, where would you be using cold therapy?
So
Heat therapy?
cold therapy, when we're talking local stuff, so ice, it's kind of falling out of favor, I'll say research-wise a little bit. So remember, when I say research-wise, it doesn't apply specifically what you might do in a certain scenario. What I find with ice in particular, it's more pain management. So initially, you hurt yourself. If the pain is really, really bad, you want to ice it to try and get the pain away. Generally, we're moving away from that for fluid management. So things like you would sprain an ankle and you'd whack ice on it straight away. The outcomes don't really kind of match up with that anymore. We like to try and stick away from ice as much as possible, unless it's really painful. So in the early stages, to try and bring that pain down, we'll use a lot of ice, but then we'll move to compressive and heat-based therapy. And this is for an injury, and again, it's not for everybody. You can't kind of put everybody into this singular box. People will respond better to cold, some people will respond better to hot. If we're talking about improvement overall, so just kind of management style things, heat therapy, again, if you have like an ache or something somewhere, generally I would go heat, as long as it's not too painful. If you're looking for just general improvement overall, are we talking saunas and stuff like this, or are we talking local?
Just general sort of recovery from big sessions.
Yeah, okay.
Hamish will do a big session with time for his forearm to be blown out. So we'll use Theragun, or he will use some heat therapy as stretching.
I love both of those for post-training sort of sauna stuff like that. I would again be staying away from ice. The problem with cold is it ceases inflammation processes. And when you go and train, you damage local tissue, the tissue becomes inflamed, the inflammation goes away, you have adaptation therein. If you put cold in, you essentially stall the inflammation process. And this is the theory around all of this stuff as well. It stalls the inflammation process, so your healing times would be longer, and generally the idea being your recovery times would be longer. The pain will be less initially, but you might end up having a little bit more stiffness and lack of mobility as time goes by. So straight after training, absolutely. Heat's awesome. I love Theragun, but it's very person to person. Some people get nothing out of it. The rule of thumb with a lot of this stuff is, if you do it and it feels good, keep going. So massage balls, foam rollers, things like that, particularly post-training. If it makes it feel better the day after, then absolutely go for it. But make sure you're doing little tests like that. It's hard to say exactly which one is kind of creating the effect if you're throwing all of the stuff out of it. I generally give something a month, and this is, I won't go into supplementation stuff because someone's doing nutrition. I'll give something a month, be it ice, heat, massage gun, whatever, and then I take it away. And again, it's kind of placebo effect, like there's always going to be a little bit of that going on. But if I see a change in the amount of improvement that I have, then I'll bring it back in. And if it's exactly the same, then I'll leave it out because it's just kind of, there's only so many hours in a day, essentially thing. Does that answer your question? Yeah. Awesome, cool. Yes?
What are your thoughts on ice bars?
Ice bars, I personally like them. For muscular recovery, so the big thing that you need to make sure that you do if you're doing ice bath stuff regularly, because it's very good for you overall. Heaps of health benefits. Your immune system improves, your ability to sleep improves, pain tolerance improves. All of this, there's so many metrics. You'll live for longer, like there's just so much stuff. But as far as specifically with training, you want to wait at least 4 hours between a strength training session and an ice bath session. Because otherwise you'll have that effect that I mentioned just before where if you dump ice straight on top of a training session, you cease that inflammation and you want the inflammation. You want to be a little bit sore, you want to get a little bit inflamed, a little bit juicy, and then that kind of calms down. So 4 hours after is kind of what people are sort of working with now from a research standpoint. Yes? You? Yeah, sorry, yeah.
After a climbing session, with stiffness in the forearm, do you know how to like counteract that or like?
Nice. I should have thrown this into my exercises. So there is a nice little throwaway one. The massage gun is good. The massage guns work via vibration. So essentially, pain and vibration travel up the same pathway through the arm, through the spine, and into the head. If you use vibration in the area, kind of jumbles them up a little bit, so you get less of a pain response. Inflammation will be the same, but the pain will be less. One big one that I like doing is, because we all know this stretch, right? Where you grab all the fingers and you pull it back. It's kind of not very good, or I should say it's not as good as this, or this, or this. I call it isolated finger stretching. All of these guys essentially attach to different areas in the arm. I like to grab those middle 2 fingers, pull them back, get a little bit of a stretch through the forearm and potentially through the hand, hold for 60 to 90 seconds, relax, repeat that 2 or 3 times after a training session, should help a lot. I already mentioned massage guns. The other one is, so with a massage ball, forearm's just a really hard place to get into overall. But balls I kind of like, unless you've got a friend or a parent who's willing to get in there and massage them for you, good luck. What I like to do is this guy. I'm going to be kneeling down on the ground for this one. So ball comes in front of you, or you can pop it up onto a bench. I'll jab my forearm onto the ball, lay on it with all my weight, and side to side to side to side to side. So all of this stuff again is, we're essentially flushing fluid out of the area. But again, 60 seconds, 90 seconds, 2 or 3 times after you finish. Don't go so crazy that you bruise yourself. If you end up with purple forearms, you've gone too hard. Cool? The other big one beyond that is, again, when you say that you're kind of getting tight forearms, how long does that tightness stick around for, that sort of pain in the arm?
Well, definitely right after the climbing session, and then the day after, like it's still there, but like less.
And is it all in the middle here, or is it kind of at the elbow a little bit, or?
Yeah, it's kind of in the middle.
Okay.
What I do is I like get my thumb into it.
Oh, so hard. This. Or somebody else's thumbs. Best.
I also use my knee. I kind of like put my forearm down.
Oh,
and
nice.
my knee down there and just kind of do the exact same.
I think it's called a cheese grater, that technique. Yeah, it's a terrible, terrible thing to do to yourself, but it's good. So all of those sorts of things. The big one as well, I'll come to you in a sec. A big one as well with that pain, so, and this is more so for parents kind of keeping an eye out, you guys as well. This is called your muscle belly, so it's where the belly of the muscle is. Pain through here, post-exercise, sweet. Who cares? That's kind of what we want. We're expecting that. It's when we start getting closer down to the little bony attachments or at the actual joints themselves, that's when we want to keep an eye on it a little bit more. If that stuff isn't nicking off within a day or two, and if overall it's not either staying the same with them doing more stuff, or B, ideally, if it's getting better, if you see over time that's starting to track a little bit worse, that's when you want to take a look at training volume and dietary stuff and all of that kind of thing. Yes?
Is there any way to like prevent getting like lactic acid after every session?
This is huge. So it may be, they may touch on this in the nutritional stuff a little bit. Lactic acid buildup, again, do you feel like you're getting too much? Is it too sore afterwards? How many days do you have the soreness for? 2 days. Is it getting worse? Do you feel like there's getting more and more and more over time? Or is it the same-ish? Hard to say. Just the same. So things like that in particular, we need to watch how much you're warming up. So things like flash pump, so you kind of get pumped straight away. That will generally happen more often if you're not warming up properly. So slowly going into training, having little rests in between, say 2 to 3 minutes of exercise in those first parts. That's how you can kind of mitigate. The other one is how frequently you're training, so those days in together. But the ways to try and stop it from happening as much, very, very basic stuff. You got to make sure you're drinking plenty of water. You've got to make sure you're getting enough. I keep on touching on nutrition stuff. You've got to be eating right as well. And they'll go through this as well. Carbohydrates mid-training, sometimes like a little snack bar or something like that, because you need a little bit of sugar in the system, depending on the body. You need a little bit of sugar in the system to be able to work with that sort of stuff, and it will help you to clear. But things like massage gun through the area, even heat as well, because again, the heat will speed up that inflammation process. It will make it happen faster. So the theory being that the lactic acid buildup will kind of ease off. The other thing is it's, let's go sciencey. So lactic acid is actually okay. We need lactic, it's called lactate. So you use lactate and it produces lactic acid. We need lactate to be able to move energy throughout the body, and you naturally just get a little bit of a buildup with it. But it's kind of this and a byproduct of exercise. So focusing on that kind of guy, think of it more as sort of like DOMS, like delayed onset muscle. So you train and then it gets sore afterwards. That's kind of what we need to sort of refer to it as and get rid of that as opposed to the lactate itself. Cool? Water, make sure you're sleeping good. Have a little snack bar, get some heat. Nice, big water bottle. Any more? I think I might be coming towards the end. Let's go blue, please.
Yeah, so just, I've had some issues with knee reaping recently, the internal rotation of the knee causing pain through the
Yeah.
knee there. Is there any sort of prevention or?
Is it just that one side?
On both legs, I've had issues with it in the past. It comes and goes like over the course of months.
Is it painful when you do stuff, or is it painful afterwards?
Usually afterwards, yeah.
Can I get you?
So have you got any sort of like pressure on the like rotation of the knee down?
Yeah, okay.
Causing...
Can I get you to stand up for me?
Yeah.
So pretty tall. Take a seat again. Yeah, so this is a big one that you get when you particularly have longer legs. Tough to do in this scenario here. We got to look at your ankle. We got to look at your hip. And we got to look at that stretch at the front of the hips might be good as well. Because like I mentioned as well, step over here so you'll be able to see a little bit better. If you're sitting in this position here, which generally when you're a bit taller you have longer legs, so you're more likely to do this through the mid-back, which means you're more likely to do this through the lower back, so you get more tension through the hamstrings. One of the hamstrings actually comes down and attaches into that part on the side of the knee here, and it gets really, really cranked when you drop into that sort of drop knee position as well. And you're also going to be using it when you do a lot of heel hook stuff. So yeah, I can't give you a 100% answer. I would be throwing that stretch at it for sure, and also monitoring it over time. But yeah, I'd be looking to see is one hip stronger than the other. Do that little balance test that I went through earlier as well. It should be in the video. But those two things together are kind of what you'll be able to do to start off with to take a look and see what's going on because it's both sides as well. Generally, when you have something on both sides, it means it's something a little bit more central, so either hip or lower back. But yeah, I'd be giving those a go. Cool? I've probably got time for one more, I would say. You've already had one. Let's go at the back here.
After a climbing session, do you recommend a warm shower or a cold shower?
Ooh, I hate cold showers, so I'm not the person to ask for this. But again, it comes back to that kind of cooling effect. So cold showers are generally okay. Like if you prefer having a cold shower, that's fine because it's not so cold, like ice and things like that. Water, like base water temperature in Brisbane, I think is around like 20 degrees or something. So it's not too chilly. It just kind of feels nice. So that should be okay. Hot shower, again, it's probably not hot enough and long enough to be able to create a change. So whatever feels best for you should be fine for those. That's probably me, because we're on to 11 o'clock now. Like I said, I work at Rock Therapy in Milton. If you guys have any other questions at all, you'll be able to find us on our website and stuff through there. Or if you contact Zach, you'll be able to get in touch. But yeah, thanks for listening to me ramble for an hour.